Hey guys, so in this video, we're going to add some create, update, and delete functionality to our Django project here. So we have this table of orders and we want to give the user the ability to click this button here and be taken to a page where they can fill out a form and actually place an order and then be redirected back to this page. And then from there, have the ability to update and delete each order. So for those of you that are not here with my Django series, I'll just quickly recap my model structure and we'll get into building that functionality. So in my models, I have this customer model and we have this product and order model, and we're going to be creating the order model. So the reason why I mentioned those two is because order has a relationship to customer and to product. So it's a one-to-many relationship. So let's go ahead and first build out a template so we can actually create a form and start working within that. So within our app here in accounts, we're going to create our template and we're going to call this order underscore form. And this template will actually handle the create and update process. So I'm going to copy and paste some code here, and all it is just extending from my main template. So it's just inheriting. So we're going to have the header, footer, and all the functionality that we have in our main template. So we'll go ahead and just throw in our template tags here for the block content, and we'll close that out. And that is just our template there. And in here, we'll just set up a blank form and we'll create a button for it. So I won't add styling until the end. So I'll just keep this very simple for now. So submit, and the value will just be submit. So as far as the name of the button. And now we just need to create method type. So we'll just do method is going to be post. So whenever we submit it, we want it to submit as post data. And the action is going to be the URL that the form submits to. And we're actually going to leave this blank because depending on whether we're on the update or create page, we want it to be sent back to the same URL. So if we submit this, it'll actually be submitted to the URL that we're going to be building out right now. So in our views, we'll just open that up. So we close out the model. So in our views, we're going to create a view called create order. So just a function-based view, and we'll say create order, and that's going to be a capital O. And we'll just set all this up and we'll return the template. So render request, and the template is in our accounts, and then it's called order underscore form.html. And we'll just create the context real quick right here because we are going to be using that later. So I'll just set that up and prep it. Okay, so we have our view here, and let's just create a template and then actually link it and see what we have. So we have our view, and I'll just add one more URL path, and we'll do create underscore order and pass in the view here, views dot create order, and I just pasted that in from here, and we'll give it a name of create order or create underscore order again. So we'll just keep the convention the same. So the view's created, the template's created, and we have the URL. So in our dashboard now, let's go ahead and actually create a link. So when we click this button, we'll actually be taken to a page. So in templates here, I have dashboard.html, and that's going to be in my orders table. So that's the customers table and right here. So let's just link that up, and we're going to use the URL template tags there. And in single quote, we'll do create underscore order. And now everything should be linked up. So let's try that and see what we have. Okay, so main template is not working. Okay, so I actually realized that I inherited from the wrong one there. And that's actually accounts and main.html. So now it should work. Okay, so our template's set up. Let's actually create a form in here. And what we're going to use is something called a model form. And this is just a Python way of actually building out our forms. And it makes everything really easy to add in a form into a template and actually process and save that data. So rather than trying to explain it, I'll just start building this out. So back in our app here, we're going to create a file called forms.py, and that's where our model forms are going to sit. So there's many ways to go about this. Some people use class-based views for this, but I personally love model forms, and you'll see why. It makes things very easy to work with, and you're actually able to understand what you're creating rather than just letting Django handle everything. So we'll make the imports of from Django dot forms, import and model form, and that's going to be capital M and capital F. So we have our model form imported, and then we're going to import our models now. So we're going to do from models, and that's because it's sitting in the same file, so we can use that dot models right there. So forms.py and models. We're just going to import all the models. So we'll do import. Actually, I'll just import the one for now just to be able to understand it better. So we're going to import the order model, and I'll open up models to the right here just so we can see what we're working with. And we'll just prep it right here. Okay, so we've made those imports, and now we can create the form as a class. So we'll do class. And then what I like to do is call the model form the name of the model, and then I just finish it with form, just with a capital F. So if I were to create a customer form, it would be customer form. So that's the convention I use. And then we're just going to inherit from model form, and close that out. And then we're going to do class and then meta. And in here, we need to specify 2 fields. So a minimum of 2 fields that we need to create a basic model form. So I'm going to do model is going to equal to the model name. So it needs to know which model are we going to build a form for. And then we need the fields that we're going to allow. So the fields I'm going to specify, or I'm just going to allow all of them. So we're going to do underscore, underscore, and then we're going to do all underscore, underscore. And this is saying that go ahead and create a form with all of these fields in it. So if I wanted to, let's say, only use one field, I would actually just do a list here and say something like, we want customer and we want the product field, and that's it. So I want all of them, so we're just going to do the underscore all method. Okay, so in our views now, we've created our form and we called it model form. We need to import this before we can render it out in our template. So we'll do from forms, import, and I'll just import that form, and now we can use it in our template. So, or we can pass it in. So we'll do form is going to equal to order form, and now we can pass it in here through the context dictionary and render it out in our template. So in order form, within our form tags, let's do this. So first we're going to set up a CSRF token. So we'll do these template tags here, and this is just a way of sending that data securely. So we'll do CSRF underscore token, and then we can pass in our form by doing that right there, those template tags, and we called it form right there. So whatever we give it the name or pass it in right here, we just need to call it in here. And now if I render my template, I should see a form with all the fields. So we said all, so we have the customer field, the product field, status, and we can actually submit that data. So let's actually process this information and save the item in our database. So before I do that, let's just go ahead and actually submit the form and see what we get. So in here, we're sending this as post data, and I'll just move this to the right. So we're sending this as post data. So what I'm going to say in our view is if request dot method. So we're just using this request right here. So if the request is equal to post, so it's either a post or a get request, and by default it's a get request. Let's go ahead and print out request dot post, and I'm just going to say printing post just so we can see this. And because our form is being submitted to the URL of the current template, so our current URL is create order. So when I submit it, it's going to send it back to the same URL and send us to this view. Instead of a get method, we're going to have a post method. So if I save this and I'll refresh it, let's go ahead and actually see what happens. So let's open up our command prompt and refresh that. And let's just set up some data here, and we'll say out for delivery and hit submit. So that data was just sent to this URL, which sent us to this form as a post method. And what we got back was this CSRF token right here. And then we can see that we have the customer's ID, the product's ID, and the status of out for delivery. So that just sent our data to that view. So what we can do now, because that data is being sent, and I'll just comment this out, we can do this now. So if the data is post data, we actually want to do something with this form. So what we can do now is say form is equal to order form, and now we can just pass in that request data. So that's why model forms are really cool, because we can actually just send that data into the form, and as long as the request.post data is the same as what the order form is supposed to handle, we can just throw that in there and then do if form dot is underscore valid. We can just save it. So if the form is valid, let's just do form dot save, and the model form will actually handle the process of saving this information into the database. So the form is saved now, and before we test this out, I actually want us to redirect back to our main template. So in here, we'll do one more import, and we'll just do, so this is Django shortcuts, and then next to render, we'll do a comma, and we'll do redirect. And now what we can do is say, instead of returning us back to that same template, let's do return redirect and send us back to that main template, so to our dashboard. So we'll just use that URL pattern. And now if we submit a form, here we'll just we'll see all of our orders. So we have these orders here. So I'm going to create one more. So let's go to create order, and we'll read the count. So our total orders is 5. So just to see that it's being created, we'll give one more to John Doe, and we'll set this to dishes, and we'll say it's been delivered. So if I hit submit now, the order is processed. We see one more order in our database, and we see that order appear here. So that data was sent here, the form submitted it, and sent us back to this view here, to that home view. So that's how we handle that. And now we can actually create an update method and update that item. So we're going to create a link from these update buttons and actually take us to that same page, except for this time, that form right here will be pre-filled with the item that we selected, and then we can save it and actually update it. So let's just create the update view really quick, and we'll keep the naming convention pretty similar here. So we'll just do function, and we'll just call it update order, and we'll just copy the same stuff here, and we'll return this here. So we'll just do return, and we'll make the context, and we'll also pass in a form, and you'll see what's different in a second, but I just want to create that URL path first. So let's throw that in. And now in our URL pattern, we're also just going to copy and paste this and change up a few things. So we'll make some space so we can see everything. And in here, we'll just do update. And we need to make this dynamic. So if you were watching this from the last videos, you'll understand how we're doing this. So it's a string, and then we'll just call this primary key. And we're going to use this view here. So update. And now in our view, we just want to pass in that primary key. So we call it PK there. So because we called it PK, we can throw that in. And let's just link it out and see what's happening. So in our dashboard, we'll create one more link. So in all these orders, we're going to create the link to that page now. So we'll just use that template tag, URL, update underscore order, and we'll just pass in the ID outside of that quote there. We'll just do order.id and make sure everything's working. And let's give this a test. So back to our dashboard. If we do barbecue grill, update. Okay, so we're being taken to that page now. So what we want to do now is pre-fill this form. So to do that, I'll just go back here. To do that, let's query the item from the view. So we'll just do order is going to equal to order.objects.get. And the ID is just going to be that primary key that we passed in. And now what we can do is in our order form, we can do instance. So this is going to be the item instance that we're going to fill out in that form. So order form instance is going to equal to that order. And now if we go to that page, we should see a pre-filled form. So barbecue grill, and there we go. So we can actually change this information and then save it. So let's go ahead and fill out that save process, and then we'll actually save it and update it. So the save method is actually going to be almost exactly the same as this right here. So we can just paste this in. So right here. And the only difference here is going to be this right here. So if we just pass in request.post, it's actually going to create a new item. So what we need to do is throw in that instance again. So we'll do instance. So we're sending that new post data into that instance of an order. So if we pass that in, this should save it. It should save it as that instance and then redirect us back to that template. So if we go here, and I'll just update the last item. What did I do here? Oops, did something there, and probably just need to fix all these. So instance is going to be order, and give me a second just to fix this right here. Okay, so I just removed that I right there, so that should work now. Okay, so let's update this one right here. So dishes delivered. Let's just update the status to pending. Let's say we made a mistake and we needed to reprocess that order. So I just saved it and the status was set to pending. So what just happened here is we sent it to the same form. So in order form, because we didn't pass in a URL, that URL is being sent to this one now instead of that create order. So it just takes that same URL, sends us as a post method to this view, and then it takes in that post data, sends it into the form, updates this instance right here, saves it, and redirects us. So the last thing we need to do is just delete an item. So to delete an item, I'll create a new template and a new view, and this should actually be a very simple concept to understand. So I'll just create a template for that, and we're going to call this delete.html, and I'll just quickly inherit from the main template. So we'll just copy this from the order form and we'll close it out. So what we want in this template is to ask the user a quick question before they confirm their action. So we want to ask them if they want to actually delete that item and give them the option to cancel it. So I'll just do the paragraph tag here and I'll paste in my question. So I'm going to ask the user, are you sure you want to delete? And then we'll list out that item name. And underneath there, we're going to have two buttons, and one will be to confirm the action and one will be to cancel. So this form is going to first send some post data if we're confirming the action, or just a link back to whatever page they came from. So the method is going to be post, and we're going to create the first one, which is going to be a link, and this is going to say cancel. So we don't want to do it, and cancel will just send us back to where we came from. And this link, we're going to send us back to that home template right now. So we'll just do URL, and then we're going to do whatever I call that here. So I think I called it home. Yeah, so we called it home. So we're going to send it back. And if we want to confirm it, we're just going to use the input field and confirm the action and send the data back to here. So we'll do submit, and the name of that will be confirm, and then we'll just create a URL or a view, and let's see what this looks like. So in this case, we're going to do delete order, and we'll pass in the request, and we're also going to need to pass in a primary key because we need to delete a specific item, and we'll return render here, and then we'll just pass in a request, and the template is now accounts/delete.html. So I'm going to pass in the context and we'll render this out. So we'll just prep this, and in our views or our URLs here, I'm going to copy this update order and change some names. So we'll do delete, and we'll just confirm these. So I'll copy that, paste that in here, and delete. Okay, so let's link this out in our dashboard and see what we have so far. So in our loop here, we have our update button, and I'm just going to copy this and create some spacing here. And in this link, we're going to throw in delete. So we'll just change this to delete, and we're passing in the ID there. So that's delete. Okay, so now we can see the page. So if I refresh this, if I go and press barbecue grill, one thing I actually did forget to pass in really quick is in our view, because we're going to reference an item, we need to pass that item into the view. So let's use this convention here, and we'll grab the order and we'll throw that in here. And then we'll do, because we call the item in the template, we're going to pass it in as item, but that's going to be the order. So now if I go to that template and we'll go to barbecue grill, it's going to say, are you sure you want to delete? And right now it's just the object number. So we actually need to change this in our model field. So I'm just going to quickly update that. So we're actually getting back a name. So we'll copy this method, and down here for the order, we'll say product.name. And now we'll see that actually referenced out here. So are you sure you want to delete the barbecue grill? So if we press cancel, we're sent back to this page. If we confirm, we should delete that item. So I need to pass in a CSRF token in here into the form. So because it's a form, let's just go ahead and pass that in. So we'll do CSRF underscore token, and we'll write our logic in our view here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say if request, so we're sending it as post data in our template. So that's post, and the action is just going to be that same URL. So because we're only using this for one page, I'm going to do the URL tag here, and we'll just do delete, and I called it order in my template. So we'll use that, and that'll be delete order, and we'll pass in the item ID. So if I pass in the item ID, so item.id, and I think that should work. If not, I'll just completely clear that URL. So if the request.method is post, so post, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this order and we're going to delete it. So we'll do order.delete, and then we're going to return back to our main template. So we're going to, or to our home page. So we're going to redirect back to that dashboard. So let's try this, and that URL path should work. So if I hit confirm, that just deleted it. So let's delete dishes now. Confirm, there we go. And we'll delete it one more. And there we go. So we're seeing our count go down, and we're deleting the item. So all I'm gonna do now is actually make these buttons right here linked out from our customer page, and then we'll just style it and prep it for the next part of the series. So that handles our CRUD functionality. So if you're part of the series, I'll style this template, and then we'll be ready for our next video where we're going to talk about Django filters. So we'll be able to search items from our customer page. So I'll just go back here, and in our customer page, we'll just take some of these links. So we'll actually go to our dashboard and copy these two and go to our customer page. And now we can just change these names. So we'll just paste in those two, and then we can reference them out from our customer page. So if I go here now to our customer page, we can hit delete. Are you sure you want to delete dishes? And update. So perfect, everything's working. Let's just style the pages now. So let's start with the delete page, since we're on that right now. What we're going to do is throw in some bootstrap, and I'm going to copy and paste here. So in my delete template, we're going to create a row around that. So break tag, a row, column, and a card. And I want to close that out with 3 divs. So we're going to close it here, so I can indent these and paste in that right there. So, oops. So there we go. So that's our row, our column, and then our card, and our delete template should look a little better. So if I press delete, are you sure you want to delete the dishes? Now we can add some button styling here. So for this, we're going to use, for the confirm, we're going to do class, and that'll be danger. So btn danger, we want that to be red. And to go back, we want that to be yellow. So we'll do class is going to be btn, and then btn warning. And that should look a little better now. Okay, so perfect. We can cancel. And now I just want to style this page a little bit. We're not going to style these form fields, but in that order form, I do want to create a row, so that looks a little better. So we'll just go back to that and order underscore form. We'll just paste in some more bootstrap there. So we got 3 divs and we just need to close these 3 out. So I'll indent this and just manually create all 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And we'll make these indented. Okay, so that should look a little better. Okay, perfect. So that does it for this video. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.